Fire yourself.
Yeah,
that's the way we describe it. You need to figure out how to fire yourself.
That's right. So we all want to work towards that, because again, you wrap kind of all this together with communication, security, transfer of risk. You see how the package gets, like, it doesn't get cloudy, but it's they're interwoven.
Absolutely.
Okay, this stuff is interwoven. Are you tired of working more for less profits in your home service business? What if I could show you $100,000 in hidden annual profits in your business in less than 3 minutes? Would you be interested? And not only show you where, but how to create that 100K in 6 months or less without additional advertising or marketing spend, guaranteed. Just go to sharpenthespearcoaching.com to see how truly simple it is. That's sharpenthespearcoaching.com. Do it now. And we are back on STS Sharpen the Spear podcast with another incredible guest. I've got Randolph Love with us. Really cool name, Randolph. I just love it. It just flows. I love love. But it just flows. I like it. But anyways, as we always do, Randolph, let's just get into this. No one knows Randolph better than Randolph. Okay, so you are going to give us a little backstory, bring us up to speed, then we'll get into the conversation.
And I will do that. And speaking of that, every time somebody says, they say, "Hey man, you have such a beautiful last name," I'll be like, "What about my first name? I mean, what about that one?" But my name is Randolph Love III. I've been in the industry for over a decade, insurance and financial services. I'm a chartered financial consultant, chartered life underwriter, chartered property casualty underwriter, fellow Life Management Institute. I mean, that means that I got more letters after my name than in my name. But it just also means that I've taken time to learn what I do, not just learn it, but practice it. So yeah, that's what I do, man, in a nutshell.
I love it. And I always, it's interesting you talk about initials and stuff. Like, there's times I get a guess, I'm like, that's a lot of initials.
Yes.
I couldn't even begin to work out what they are.
And a lot of renewal fees, a lot of annual renewal fees.
Yeah, they got your number, your Mr. Subscription. Yeah, it's good. No, but I love it. But yeah, let's kind of dive into it, because this is one of those areas that can, like, you want to put needles in your eyes. It'd be more pleasant than talking about this. But then again, when you got the right person, the people really loves what they do and they're good at, and they've invested time like you have. I want to talk about it because insurance, to me, I used to not care about it long ago. Then I started realizing what it actually is. And in my layman's definition, it's all a transfer of risk.
Absolutely.
Okay. So that's how simple I keep it. Okay. Who doesn't want to transfer the risk?
Yes.
If you have the capability, right? So let's kind of get into that, because give us a little more detail, and specifically, I know you hit a few points, but wherever you want to begin, let's start talking about that, because again, we're all business owners, right? We have these needs, both personal and business, right? So let's kind of dissect what that can look like in different situations.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at an insurance company's portfolio, they have their insureds listed as quote unquote risk. And it's just like you're saying, it's a transfer of risk. Now, what is risk when you're talking about transferring it in this sense? A lot of times when people put insurance on their house, they think that they're insuring their house. A lot of times when people put insurance on their car, they think that they're insuring their car. No, what you are insuring is the financial detriment that you just inherited by acquiring that asset. So yes, sir, once you understand that you are paying a smaller amount in order to avoid paying a bigger amount, not saying that you will. They used to put people in debtors' prisons, right? Like, let's say you invested in a ship to move spices from India to the UK, and that ship just crashed. If that endeavor just went out, you would have lost everything. So what they said is, how about this? How about we get 10 people and each of us pay $100? And if one of our ships were to sink in the sea, we won't get put in debtor's prison. The other 9 will put their money up and actually get that done. And now you think about it, that $100 that they put up in the beginning, that was their deductible. And then the other 9 that came, that was their insurance, that transfer of risk, just like you said.
Yeah, it's really important to understand this aspect. And again, it took me a while. I had a lot of insurance, you got to pay it. I have vehicles on the road. I got a fleet of trucks, working with heavy equipment. We're doing all this kind of stuff, right? Then I got into the roofing business. Ooh. Okay. So you're talking worst, most dangerous job in the country. Yeah, you're going to have some workers' comp issues.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whew.
I mean, the whole thing, right? So we all kind of get it. We all have especially in the service and trades industry, man, we're working with tools, we're building things, right? There's a lot of risk, from the money aspect. But again, I like how you brought it out to, it's really protecting ourselves, okay, from future loss. And the old saying was, as long as I have insurance, nothing's going to happen. Okay, as soon as I stop paying my premium, the whole world comes down on top of me, right? It's kind of, I'm joking, kind of, but it's kind of how it works,
Or you stop paying your premium. You don't stop paying your premium, but you have a claim, and all of a sudden, you dealing with roofing. All of a sudden, this insurance company that you've been paying for years, even decades, now all of it, they can't. That risk that you transferred to them, all of a sudden, is not a covered risk, not a covered claim anymore.
Right. Yeah, it gets tricky in the fine print, as they say, right? So we have to understand this. So let me ask you, Randolph, as an agent, as someone who's offering these things, what's kind of your, I want to call it your philosophy, but it's probably more your principle, right? Your principle is the integrity aspect. To what degree do you educate your clients?
That's my main company. My company is Elevation Through Education. Elevation Through Education. So I over educate. I do monthly events in Jacksonville, Florida, where I invite my current customers, as well as business owners, franchise owners, contractors. A lot of the people who attend are people in the services industries, like you said, property services, home services. I invite them out. I educate. On average, from when I meet somebody to when they do business with me, if they ever do business with me, is approximately 18 to 24 months. And that entire 18 to 24 months, I've been educating them. Meetings. I, I have my calendar set up to where I only work 2 days out of the week, as far as taking meetings. 2 days for meetings, 2 days for learning, and 2 days for vacation. That's how I set my calendar up.
Nice.
So on those 2 days, if I have availability, I don't care if you have $0 or $1 million. I don't care if we ever did business together. If I got availability on that calendar, get on it, and we're talking, because I was going to be talking to somebody anyway. So education is key for me.
Okay, this is a really good takeaway for all the listeners too. We've had other guests on. We talk about this occasionally, and that's understanding your sales cycle. Did you hear what Randolph's sales cycle is? Okay, it's 12 to 24 months, 12 to 18 months?
18 to 24, yeah. That's the average.
That's a long sales cycle, okay? But what he's doing is he's investing in every person. So the whole idea is to get them in your ecosystem, right? If that's education in the beginning, that's your ecosystem. Hopefully they're going to be educated to the point where now they can pull the trigger, they feel confident, or they're going for an array of things, right? You're not just a one-trick pony here. You got a bunch of things they can be getting into. But I think, again, the education process, because the reality is it's like 3% of all buyers want to buy right now. Okay. 97%, not today. Okay. And that could be next week, next year, next 2 years, right? So we have to understand this when we analyze our businesses and what is truly the sales cycle. When someone gives me a really random, like, it's a couple weeks. Is it though?
Is it?
Okay. You don't sound real confident in that number. I want to hear it's 24.3 days. So I want to really know you're tracking this thing, and you've obviously figured it out. And tell us why you kind of gone the route of this extreme education. What was the driving force behind that?
Because what I do, I help people with business exit planning, retirement planning, and I utilize insurance vehicles strategically to do that. It requires a lot of trust. And somebody that's my age handling all of your assets, majority of my customers are at least 15 years older than me, because, there's that sweet spot. You want your advisor to be old enough to know what he's doing, but young enough that he's not going to die before you do, right? So it's one of those things to where I have to show and prove my credibility. Come to that sales cycle, it used to be 24 months, like hard on. But what happens is, as I continue to educate people, and then as my referrals increase, now when people introduce me to them, now that cycle is getting shorter. And if we talk again 6 months from now, I'm pretty sure I'm going to say 12 to 18 months, because as they continue to refer, the education gets smaller, because a lot of their friends, families, colleagues, associates were learning through them as I was teaching them for those 24 months, 18
Yeah,
months.
you know what? I love that, because that obviously that's a great goal.
Mm-hmm.
No one wants a 24-month sales cycle. Okay,
Oh no,
guarantee
of
it.
course not. Of course not.
Okay, so we want to. How do we bring that down, right? And that's part of the job.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the
Mm-hmm.
business, right? So we have to understand what that is. But I think also when you get a referral, and this is a complete blanket exception. I mean, exclamation statement rather, that a lot of people don't really want to learn.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I'm just putting out a little hard truth here. Okay, that's why referrals are so critical.
Well, yeah.
Okay. So this is how you leverage that. You're given the intense education, right? You understand the sales say long, and you're probably, who do you know? Who do you know?
Absolutely.
If you know, right? Because they're going to know the people who don't take that education. I was just with a gentleman this morning. His thing is he's young, educated man. He's going to the conferences. He's doing all the time. Him and his wife, like they're doing this stuff, real estate. Like I love it. He's investing all the time to educate himself, you know, to be an expert, to keep moving, and he's moving quickly. It's really great. So when combining those two to get that referral, you are, what I call, you know, they're compressing time for their referral, right? So if I'm going to all your classes, and then my buddy John over here is not me, then again, who is? But you know, the reality is, like, I know John's not going through 12 months of educating. But if I tell him it's good for him because I've learned it is, I'm going to help my brother out, right? So I'm saying, John, just talk to Randolph. Let's get in here. Listen, you want to ask him about this and this. Okay, we're on the same trajectory. I'll save you a little time. I've already invested in it. You're going to benefit from my investment. So just go talk to him and see what you think, right? Now we just cut that time in half right there. That's what's important, right? That's good. I love it.
Well, yeah, finding those centers of influence, and once again, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yes.
And once they know how much you care, and then you say please and thank you. You do what you say you're going to do. Then that's when the referrals come through.
That's right. I mean, it's just integrity. Because here's the thing, and I share this often too, and you probably know this. This is not a stump the guest question. Okay. So there's you, the agent. We'll call him the agent, the guy who knows everything, the teacher, the insurance guy. There's me, the student. Okay. I'm learning all this from me, and I'm a client. Okay. And then there's John, who I spoke about earlier, as my referral. Right. So in the three of us, I always tell people whose name's at greatest risk here.
The name that's at greatest risk is probably the second person, not me, but John, the one who's going to make the referral.
Yes, that would be me making a referral to John. Exactly.
Absolutely.
So you're exactly right, because my good name is online. Like, I can tell John to go talk to Randolph. Randolph can just drop the ball all day long, be horrible, make it a horrible experience. Okay, John's not going to like Randolph much, but he's really going to hate me. He's not going to come over for dinner anymore. Okay, our wives aren't going to hang out because I led him to a bad deal, right? So when we understand the referral process, you've got to understand whose name's truly at risk. That's why when you're dealing with your clients, this education standpoint, the asking for referrals, but really getting me down and really taking care of me at a high level is really critical. That's what we need to see, because otherwise no one's going to refer you.
Oh yeah, all truths are parallel. I remember I was attending this house party before, and it was the person who was hosting, but he invited different friends from like the workplace and different groups that he had. So a lot of people in the house had never met each other, but their common friend was the person who was hosting. And I was talking to one of his friends, and his friend shared something with me that I still keep and utilize today, and consider it a fundamental truth, a universal truth. He said, the way that you tell a good friend is by the people that they introduce you to. How you tell a good friend depends on the people that they introduce you to. And all truths are parallel, the same with business. How you tell a good business owner by the people they introduce you to. They're good professional by the people that they introduce you to. And it truly is true, to your point, that the name that is on the line the most in these scenarios is the person making the referral.
Exactly. That's a really good point, because you hear often about, the circle, your 5 closest friends represent everything about you too. You're all the same incomes, blah, blah, blah. But that introduction, when they're introducing you to someone, because we've all got that one friend, right? We may not introduce to everybody. Okay, we love them, but
we grew up with him. He's cool. We got some good memories.
But we give him a long leash, but he's still on a leash. Okay, he's just not roaming free.
He's us.
That's right. But there's certain parties the invites get lost.
Absolutely.
Okay, like maybe next one. But yeah, that's a really good point, Randolph. So let's get into the business aspect of what you do. Okay, as far as like helping businesses, things like that. Let's start to uncover a little bit that.
Well, basically, the way it is a lot of businesses, they really don't know when's enough, or a lot of them don't even plan in the beginning how they're going to get out. In their minds, they're going to be working until the day they die. And I notice a lot of people in the service industry, usually when you ask them when they're going to retire, they legitimately and truly have no plans of retiring. They truly, if they were to die with their shoes on a job, that would be the perfect ending for them, but not realizing as they age that you can't do what you used to do. So you need to start sooner than later making your money make babies. What I tell people is a little shock value. Usually when they ask me what I do, I say I help people make money make babies. And they're shocked. They're like, what do you mean? I say, if you can impregnate $100 bill, would you not? So the way we impregnate money and make money is we utilize Internal Revenue Codes, Internal Revenue Code 7702, Internal Revenue Code 72E, Internal Revenue Code 101A. And as long as you know the codes, because here's the rule book, the tax code wasn't created for individuals. It was created for business owners, and the rule book for business owners is the tax code. And as long as you know how to play that playbook, it's like trying to show up on a football field with basketball shoes on. It's not going to work. You need to know the rules. You need to have the right equipment, and then you can succeed. So that's how I help businesses. I educate them on the rule book to business. Because listen, I'm not going to do your thing as good as you do it. You do that well. I'm the one that educates you on the rule books to the money, to where at least, you have the option. I'm not telling you have to retire, but you're going to have the option of retiring because your money is going to be situated to where it's making money.
Yeah, we always talk about this, and I'm a big fan of exit strategy. Okay. Mm-hmm. I believe the number one time to do it is before you launch your business.
Exactly.
That's the best time. And the second best time is right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's 2 times to do it: before you start the business or right now. So if you haven't done it, you need to do it, because it changes everything in your business way more than we're going to get into in this show. But basically, when you know where you're going and you have a time frame and how much. So for everyone listening, this is how simple exit strategy is: how long and how much.
Yes.
How long you want to do this for and how much you want to get out. Okay. Mm-hmm. Is it 10 million, 10,000, 50 million? I don't care what the number is. Pick it. And then reverse engineer and figure out how this is going to happen. But like you're saying, Randolph, also I tell people, well, let's say you really kill it and you're bringing in 7 figures yourself. That's your salary. Okay. Well, when you do exit and say you get 10 million for your business or whatever it is, what do you lose? You lose the $1 million a year. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's kind of a lot of money.
It is.
To just stop getting. Okay. So
it is.
You got a little lump at the end, but you're still in 10 years. That's going to be gone, and you don't have the 10. So we have to design a plan to replace our active business income with passive income, right?
Absolutely.
And again, strategies, right? And the big key, like you said with the rule book, okay, is how much can we keep? We need to keep as much as possible, because all that can go into creating this passive income. right? And there's all these different levels. Everyone, it's easy to throw the real estate bomb out there. Yeah, you invest in real estate and you'll build all that. Well, there's a ton of other stuff. Some people are not into real estate. There's lots of ways to make money with your money, right? And we're here talking about some of them. So it's really important that people know there's a lot of options, but this exit strategy and planning for this stuff is the real key to success. And one thing I want to piggyback on when you're talking about the home services industry, and they're great. They love doing what they do and everything else. And one other thing they always think, oh, my kids are going to take over the business.
Fallacy.
So I just tell them this. I say, listen, when I'm working with them, I'm like, you're doing all the work, right? Business doesn't really open unless you turn the lock, right? And open the door each day. How often are you on your phone when you're on vacation? Daily? Oh, okay. All that. I go, trust me, your kids, and I use this saying, more is caught than taught. They see what you have to go through every day on the vacations, missing their games, missing recitals, missing, dinner, all that. They don't want that. They don't want, they're going, I don't want that. I want to see my kids. I want to, be with my wife or husband, whatever. So I'm just, again, very blanket statement, but a lot of times we love what we do so much, and it's our child, if you will. When we build that business, we have to understand we're unique.
Yes.
We're in that small minority that loves business, loves what we do. And that doesn't mean that's not a genetic thing. It's not going to be handed down to your children through their DNA. Okay. They're really going to go, they may have other interests. So that's just a footnote to keep that in mind when you're thinking about this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I do when I work, because when I work with my customer, they're all business owners. So it's almost like it's not only advising, but also like a business coach and life coaching type relationship. And one thing that we do, because to your point, in our the first meeting that I have with business owners, I say, have you ever asked your children if they want your business? And usually they don't answer yes, no immediately. They come up with this whole scenario of this, that, and the third. And then I say, that's great. Have you ever asked your children if they want your business? And then they eventually admit that they never asked. And by the time we have our next meeting, they've asked and they find out that the children don't want it. To that point, what you mentioned. So one of the things that I help my customers do is we also teach them how to have quarterly family meetings, because yes, more is caught than taught. And if they only see the headaches, but they're not involved in the family meetings to where you can show, all right, these headaches created this revenue, and this revenue we put in this passive situation. If they're not seeing that, of course, they're not going to be it. But also to your point, what's the best time to plant a tree? They say it was 20 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is today.
That's it. It's interesting. I talk about this too in my book and everything else about just what you said, these family meetings. And here's how I describe for people too, Randolph. So I don't need the family in the business. Okay. I have a business I'm running, but they need to know where we're at in the business. Like you're saying, whether that's quarterly, monthly, say, hey, listen, we're going into phase 2 right now. And here's what's going to happen in phase 2 as we continue to grow a little bit. Okay. I'm going to be going for this time. I got to get this in place. I got to do this. So you understand I'm going to be a little less available, or whatever that looks like, right? Money might be tight because we're reinvesting a lot so we can take a larger step forward. If they just know that, instead of you coming home and they say, what's the matter? You say, it's business. You wouldn't understand. Really bad reply, by the way, for anyone who wants to talk to their spouse that way. Okay. Don't ever say that. Okay. That,
it depends on what that person's exit strategy is, man. Yeah, right. That might be a part of their exit strategy to get divorced.
Well, let's hope not. But what you want to do is if they know that, they're going to be your biggest cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Because they're going to see you accomplish it. Because now what you've actually done is set a goal. So if you built your business this way, you're actually very goal oriented. You have targets you're going to hit. Your family knows that they see you hit them. And then, then things are smooth for a little while. Okay, now we're going to scale. We did growing. Now it's time to scale. That's different than growing. It doesn't cost as much, but we're taking market share. And we're going to do that. So you need to understand what that's going to take. Then after 3, 4, 5 months of scaling, once that process is in place, I can step back. Right. So now they go, okay, got a time frame, 6 months. We'll see, and it's give or take a couple months. But now what they do, they'll talk about your kids want to be in your business. If they went through that process with you as they're growing up and they always knew and they saw you achieve it, oh, they're going to want to be in your business.
Of course.
They're going to go, yeah, because dad did all the work. And now I just get to come and just make sure everything keeps running the way he built it, right? So it's a little different animal, but they see it because a lot of guys, they see the grind over and over. They see the hamster wheel and they see they never get off. And that's what's disheartening to family members. It's like you just run and you don't go anywhere. It's frustrating.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, just staying in place, because all truths are parallel. Because a lot of people would say what you were saying is over communication, but in reality, the highest form of compensation is communication. And even in roof sales, if you look at it, the person that sold the roof is probably getting on average 10% of the money. The owner of the company is making, of course, the boatload of the money. And who is the least compensated person on that chain? Typically the person nailing the shingle to the roof. A lot of people think that service, you servicing and your family should notice all of this labor that you're putting in. If all truths are parallel, that labor is very low return. But if you communicate and communicate the right way, just like in sales, communication gets you, it's the great equalizer, as I call it. You don't need a college degree. You don't even need a GED. If you're good at sales, you can make more than the most successful doctor or attorney on any block, right? Or if you're the business owner, the one who's building these systems, the one who's able to communicate to different people. Because really and truly, the only difference between that laboring company and the roof owner is their ability to communicate between the vendors, the suppliers, the homeowners, and coordinate it all, communicate it all. And so once again, I think what you're saying is perfect. You have to over communicate to your family. And that means not just them seeing the hard times, but also understanding in this family meeting, whether it's monthly, quarterly, annually, like you said.
Yeah, I really like that. I don't think, and I'm going to take the man's point of view because that's what I know.
Mm-hmm.
We're seldom accused of over communicating.
Mm.
Okay. It's not something I've ever heard from my wife. Would you stop over communicating? She's never said that. I've been married 25 years. She's never said that. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I haven't breached that confidence yet. I haven't over communicated yet. So I'm a work in progress.
Well, yeah, and I'll take the women's point of view because a majority of my customers are either women or the relationship was initiated by the woman, which is the wife, right? As long as they feel secure. I had a friend of mine that was a paralegal for attorneys. Like, she specialized in being paralegals for attorneys. And she came to me one day and she said, "Hey, did you know everybody's lying?" And I said, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Nobody's rich. Everybody's broke. Everybody's broke." And I said, "What makes you say that?" She said, "Because I'm the paralegal. I see all of their financials." And I said, "The reason why you think that everybody's broke is the highest percentage cause of divorce is finances." Now, and so once you can be gone all day as a husband, or you can be home 2 hours a day. If your wife can look and see that the finances are situated for the future, even if by chance you were to predecease her, I'm not going to guarantee it, but the divorce rate will drop when you have those things in place.
Yeah, it's security is the number one human core need. Number one. And money is tied to that. Mm-hmm. Because without it, okay, again, it's not the scorecard, but mm-hmm. for women, I can assure you it matters.
It does.
You know, that stuff, just like the insurance stuff. Mm-hmm. Are you covered if you do check out? Hey, you take a header off that roof, okay, like because you think you're all that when you're the owner and you should be just out getting other jobs, but you decide you're going to go up there and show them what for, and then you take a header off that thing, right? Then I show that often with owners. I'm like, so now, tough guy, you got a broken back and everything else. You know what your guys are going to do? Go work for the next company.
Exactly.
Okay. So your macho ego carries stuff up like that's not your job anymore. I know you used to do it. Go make more money so they can keep working because they need security as well, right? They need to know there's a job every day, not 3 days in between.
Okay? Fire yourself. That's the way we describe it. You need to figure out how to fire yourself.
That's right. So we all want to work towards that because again, you wrap kind of all this together with communication, security, transfer of risk. you see how the package gets like, it doesn't get cloudy, but it's they're interwoven.
Absolutely.
Okay, this stuff is interwoven. I think a lot of times I've seen in business and suffer from this myself. My first business was we're not connecting. We're not seeing it as a web. Okay, and like we have to see it and how it all connects together.
Yeah.
I know the first thing we think is it all costs money. Well, hello to the world. Everything costs money. Okay.
Yes.
But again, that's why when in the beginning, Randolph, I brought up transfer of risk because I want that was a really eye-opening term for me. I never thought of it that way. I thought it as the necessary evil. Okay. The necessary evil is insurance. And I'm like, I don't do evil things. Okay. Like I don't want to do evil things. Okay. So that's not who I am. So what is it? It's transfer of risk. And when that was explained to me, I'm like, well, why doesn't everyone say that? You
Absolutely.
know, like, I mean, it's like your sale becomes a layup.
Yeah.
Like if with a business owner, especially, right? If it's plain and simple and we get how you're protecting us with this, like you said, it's not your car, it's not your trucks, it's not your home, it's not your business, it's you. Okay. That should be a way more convincing argument, isn't it? I mean, or a sales process, if you will.
Yeah, I think the reason why it's not explained as a race, a transfer of risk, is because really and truly it's become a race to the bottom. And all of these industries, everybody is just selling on how much it costs. So when you lead with how much something costs, even in a relationship, if you're leading with your wallet, you shouldn't be surprised when that person, man or female, takes advantage of you for how you led with it. So, and then if you come in as a business owner, which we're the cheapest, you shouldn't be surprised if you get people with the cheapest integrity, right?
That's right.
It's really about making sure that people understand that a lot of people think it's only two types of people who pay interest and people who earn interest. Actually, one of my mentors, Doug Andrew, he tells me it's actually three types of people who pay interest, people who earn interest, and people who understand you have to pay a little interest to earn a lot of interest. And saving and earning are synonymous when you talk about this interwoven web that people are in. And once you realize that is synonymous, the more you save, the more you earn, and vice versa. You want to be able to have it to where, all right, yes, I'm paying this insurance premium, but if something happens, I'm covered. Or yes, I'm paying premiums into this life policy, but not only will my family get taken care of, but if I'm working with the right person, they can show me how I can utilize the cash value while I'm alive to earn tax-free income and, be able to actually do the things I want to do while I'm alive and not just, send a lump sum of money to everybody while I'm dead.
It's the whole Rockefeller method, man.
I love it.
They're spending their money and making interest on it.
Yes.
Okay, they're earning interest on their money. It's tax-free.
And it's not
when
considered income.
It's amazing when you figure this stuff out and you learn. Like I love it. And just for the record, like this is the first time Randolph and I have ever spoken, and we are completely aligned. We're hitting on all the stuff. I'm like, oh, see, I didn't have to ask about this. You say it. So stuff like this here's the thing, Randolph. I think, and this is indicative of our entire country here in the U.S. Financial literacy, financial education just doesn't exist. Okay. You're not being taught. I don't care if it's kindergarten through college. You're not being taught about money. You just aren't. It's ignored. And I'm going to, be that guy and say it's all on purpose. Okay. The more you don't understand, the more money someone else is making off you.
Absolutely.
Right. When we don't get that, like, oh, wow. they get 3% when I get money and they get 3% when I give money, send money. Wow. They're really doing well. And every time that happens, I get less and less in my pretty soon that's all gone. Right. Someone else has got all my money, because
Absolutely.
I wasn't paying attention. I didn't find another way. But I think that the financial planning, the financial literacy, from a business owning standpoint, is probably one of the things you absolutely must dedicate real time to. I'm talking non-negotiable time.
Yeah.
If it's an hour a week or 30 minutes a week, 30 minutes a day or 3 days a week, whatever the number is, like you got to dive into this stuff. You got to start learning. And this is going to go full circle why you take 18 to 24 months on a sales cycle, right? Because this education process is not snap your fingers and I get it. It's not 2 + 2. Okay. It just isn't. There's so many, like we already said, the web, there's all this stuff to it. So I just want to encourage people. This is what changes the game for you in business. We all work hard. Okay. Well, why do we all work hard and some got all this fruit, right? They're just killing it. And they seem to be working hard, but working less in the day to day. And we start to look and go, why can't it be like that guy? Because he figured it out. He spent the time to become educated on how to use that money, how to keep it, how to apply it, right? It's all about, does it have a place to go when you get it? So it's a lot to talk about, but I just, from this conversation alone so far, this should be sinking in your head. Like, I need to make this a priority. This needs to be in the top 3, right? Top 3 on your list.
Absolutely. And, words aren't an accident. Financial literacy, reading literacy, they are all connected. I work with a lot of attorneys and they all tell me the reason why attorneys make so much money is because people hate to read, right? So, because really and truly, all an attorney is doing is reading for you. If you boil it down to its simplest form, any attorney that you ever hired is just reading for you and then reiterating what they've read, right? So it's not, yes, you want to learn as much as you can in order to find the right team. I'm really into words, right? And recently I looked up the origin to the word idiot, right? And usually when people think about idiot, they think about, a stupid person.
Was my picture there?
I thought you looked familiar. You know what? But no,
I might have got bumped off because other people have surpassed me in the idiocy. But for a long time, I was a poster child. So keep going. But tell us more.
But that's to your point. I don't think your picture was not there because the original definition to the word idiot was a private person. You don't come across as a private person. And some people say, hold up. How is the original definition to idiot, somebody that's quote unquote stupid, is private person? Well, really and truly, it was the politicians were considered public citizens, and the community, like the rest of the people in the cities, were considered private persons. So the politicians consider the private persons to be idiots, right? So, but really and truly, but when you connect it together, in my opinion, if you're a private person, meaning that you don't work with other people, you're an idiot. That really isn't a smart thing to do, to try to do it by yourself. And I was sharing this conversation with my grandfather, and I was telling him how, because he's into words too, and I was telling him how the original word for idiot, the original definition for idiot was a private person. And initially he disagreed with me. So he pulled out this old Webster dictionary, and of course he confirmed that the original definition was a private person, but he then looked up the word imbecile. Because one thing he used to tell me is an imbecile that is a person that has the cognitive abilities of somebody from 0 to 3, an idiot, and then an imbecile is somebody from 3 to 7. When he looked up the definition of imbecile, do you know what it said?
Tell me.
An imbecile is a person with the original definition. Imbecile is a person without staff. So think about it. What we consider idiots, what we would consider imbeciles, the original definition were private people who try to do it by themselves, who don't have staff.
Yeah, I love it. And that's a, age old tale, right? Again, whenever and I've consulted with enough businesses, helped enough businesses now, countless businesses. That's why I wrote Escape the Owner Prison, because it was the same pattern, every business. I'll tell you, the other day I'm doing a pre-interview to be a guest on the show, a podcast, right? And it's with a business coach, and it was a woman. And she was telling me how amazing she is. She's the greatest. She's the best there is. Everyone wants her. But she has 5 other coaches, but everyone still wants her. She'll never be able to sell her business because everyone wants her. And I'm like, and I'm looking at her and I'm just smiling. And she's going on and talking about ego and this. And she's a multi-million-dollar coach and all that. I'm just smiling. And then she stops. I go, do you know what's interesting about this? She goes, what's that? I go, you sound like every single business owner I work with. Every single one of them. You're the only one. You're the best at it. No one else can do what I do. I can't really sell the business. It's just a lie you tell yourself. Your ego is so overinflated that you can't even see what's in front of you. How can you not take your inner genius and put it down and transfer it to other people? Because I'm building a coaching company to sell.
Absolutely.
And it's going to be for a lot.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to do is be the coach. Okay. I am a conductor. I got my little baton and I tap it on the podium and the orchestra begins.
Yes.
And all I'm doing is just changing the levels a little bit here and there, but I got this amazing orchestra that makes incredible music and I'm just one guy, right?
Absolutely.
No one needs to buy me, right? So they can go and work with some other conductor. Right? The whole orchestra, a different conductor can come in and do the same thing. All right. That's what I'm building. Right. That's what I'm building. So I just found it funny. These people, they get caught in this belief system and I get it. They're great at what they do. I'm not taking that away from them, but you're not the greatest. Never. And even if someone is 95% as good as you, your clients will never know the difference. You think they will. Yeah. Because that's your ego going, right? It's not. I guarantee you it's the case. I've done it in real time, my businesses. I've seen it in others constantly. And it's great when you finally, matter of fact, I was just talking with someone this morning, Randolph, what I'm going to start doing, saying it here, I'm going to start getting a little box, a beautiful little wood box. It's hinged with the lid and everything. And on the front, it's going to say my ego. And that's what I'm going to send. That's what I'm going to send all my new clients. This is the first gift they get. Put it in this box, shut it, turn the latch, put it on the shelf.
That's
no
powerful.
Place here for ego. And you can look on your shelf and see that box and go, is it in there? Or did I go take it out? Because you don't need it. Okay. There may be a time it's not even ego, it's more aggressive and stuff like that. But I'm just saying when you can check that ego, just like with this woman, I'm like, I just need a pin to pop that balloon. Okay. That's all I need to take you down. Because it took me down 20 years for the ego would not accept help. Billionaire clients give me advice. Well, what do they know? They don't do what I do. Okay. That's the level of stupid I operated at. I can't even claim idiot. Okay. That was a complete level of stupid. Okay. It was just unbelievable. So, I know I'm kind of rambling here, but it's important to understand this. I just think this kind of topic tied in with what you do and what you can provide for businesses. And again, we've hit it real high level and that's really all we can do here. But you need to understand that when you talk to someone like Randolph, who has all the initials, okay, all the little certs and everything else, okay, which are awesome. He's got ways for you to keep more and make more.
Absolutely.
Okay? Why wouldn't you reach out and start a discussion with someone like that? Even if it meant getting on the education train, jump on the caboose before it gets out of town, right? And get in learning and doing that kind of stuff. That's what I'd love to see more people do because it holds everybody back, because here's the reality for me, Randolph. No matter what, you're going to work. No matter what, you're not going to just go sit and do nothing. Yeah. So man, let's put a plan where we can exponentially grow.
Absolutely.
Let's do something real while we're putting in the time. I don't care how backbreaking it may be, but if the benefit's far greater than the labor, why wouldn't you do it?
Absolutely. I heard this joke one time. It was two young fish just sitting along, and an older fish just moseyed along, and he looked at the two young fish and said, "How you doing, young fellas? The water fine, isn't it?" And he just went along about his way. And the two young fish looked at each other and they said, "What the hell is water?" Right? A lot of times you don't realize that you're in it because you're in it. Right. And when you are a business owner and you don't have somebody like you, Richard, or myself, that's able to be that older fish, it might not be physically older, but, just experience and wisdom and knowledge wise older. When you ever have that older advisor, consultant, coach to point out that you're in water And now that you realize that you're in water, what do you gain from knowing that? Then that's when you don't make it. I mean, you really don't. And once again, you end up being that person that thinks that you're different when really and truly, we're all a different frequency, but we're all the same.
Nothing new under the sun, brother.
Yes, sir.
Nothing new under the sun. So, man, Randolph, this has been awesome. So let's wrap this up properly. Give them websites, whatever they need, whatever you got. Let's hook the listeners up so they can continue to get their financial literacy in place, transfer some risk, and do great things with you.
So what I'm doing, and thank you so much for having me on, Richard. So if you want to visit me, you can visit me at shieldwolfstrong.com, SHIELDWOLFSTRONG.com. Or you can come to one of my monthly events here in Jacksonville, Florida by going to entreprenudist.com/liquidity, ENTREPRENUDIST.com/liquidity. You can go ahead and text Walsh 25. That's WALSH 25. And what I do for people is I'll go ahead and give you a free, no cost, no obligation, a business valuation, unofficial business valuation, or estate plan. And once again, it's me educating you. But before, if you've already started, like Richard said, the best time to do your business exit plan was before you started. But now that your business is going, one of the first steps is we need to figure out exactly what your business is worth now, right? If we're going to start planning for an exit, what are your goals? How much, how long, how much are you worth now? One of the first pieces of information you have to put into a GPS isn't the address of where you're going, but your current location. Without your current location, it cannot triangulate. So the reason why I'm giving you this free unofficial business valuation or estate plan is I want you to know exactly where you're at now, so that when we work together and we actually put together a plan and get you to where you're trying to go, you're able to look back and say, man, I was there, but now I'm here. But what's next?
Awesome. Awesome. That's so awesome, Randolph. So again, thank you so much for joining us, Randolph. Great stuff. And for everybody else, we'll see you on the next STS podcast.
And don't forget, revenue feeds the ego, profit feeds the family. So if you want to see how I can show you at least $100,000 in hidden annual profits in less than 3 minutes, and not only show you where, but how to create that 100K in 6 months or less without additional advertising or marketing spend, guaranteed, just go to sharpenthespearcoaching.com. See how truly simple it is. That's sharpenthespearcoaching.com. Do it now.